So the episode starts off with Scott hanging out with his sister Jessica and his niece Gretchen, showing off his powers. This man is white and blonde. I'm trying to figure out how they're even related. But he's walking home with them and tells them to go on up without him. He's just gonna grab a coffee across the street. But when he gets back with the coffee, all the glass starts breaking and the buildings are getting destroyed. And when the cameraman wakes back up after setting up the props, he shows us Scott, who's getting sent flying, seeing Invincible crashing into his sister's apartment building, and even standing there holding her arm in his hand. And that's when he looks down crying. No, Invincible can't do shit. But he goes ahead trying to convince the district attorney to press charges against Invincible, cause he out there not saving anyone for real. Saying that his sister and his niece are dead, he needs justice. Look, Scott, that's tough and all, but Omni-Man was cooking his ass. I'm talking fried rice, minced meat. He was getting sauced. There's not much he could do. So he decided to go back to work and started analyzing the footage. Saw that Invincible was getting tortured by his dad, using him to physically murk everyone on the subway. I'm talking 4K footage of Omni-Man palming his head while Invincible is literally struggling. And this man Scott said, yeah, it's Invincible's fault. Went back home and started practicing his villain speech. You think you're above consequences? But I, Powerplex, will make you pay. His wife heard that shit and said it was perfect. She lying, bro. He gonna go out there and embarrass himself. But she brings out the case and sets him up with these devices that he stole from the lab that he works at. And these devices are supposed to help him with the output of his powers. And that's when he looks at his wife and is like, bring out the hammer. Grabbing onto it and starts smacking the shit out of him. Did it a second time. Damn near took herself out too. And one last time to his dome. So now he's ready to go outside. And we see him standing on top of a building, looking down, seeing how high up he is. Damn, I've got to do this though. I've got to do this. Do this for Jess and Gretchen. Nigga, no you don't. I know Jessica and Gretchen are rolling in their graves. This is like them niggas who be getting caught by their girl and say, on bro, I did not cheat on you. Now bro can't sleep, he's having nightmares. But Powerplex jumps off the building, diving down and crashing onto the street, storing up the energy he needs to fight Invincible. Mark is out bowling and is pissed off, trying to figure out how William is so good at bowling. And to make it worse, Amber walks in waving her hand. Who invited her, bro? But they see the news and Powerplex is out there wreaking havoc, telling Invincible to come to the streets. Mark had to shut that shit off real quick. What, bro? It's not like I'm getting paid. But Powerplex is still out there tripping.
Listen up. This is all about why does get to walk these streets and be free? Why does get to be happy? Where is when we need him the most?
Okay, bro, just chill. Go buy a margarita or something. Powerplex started pointing at her. Shut up, woman. And that's when Shapesmith pulls up and presses him. Punched him so hard he broke his neck. Told him to look behind him at the damage he's caused, making him slide back. And now he's making a fist. He sent this dumbass alien to deal with me. And Powerplex uses the hits he's taking to charge up electricity and releases all of it to send Shapesmith crashing down onto a car. And Powerplex decides to leave. Whose idea was it to send this fool as backup? And Shapesmith started defending his name like how Draymond Green was defending Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. That man's name is Westbrook.
But when Powerplex gets back home, he's mad that he's wasting these opportunities to get back for his sis. And then we find out that this man Scott has a whole child. If this nigga don't focus on being a father. So Mark and his family go to the memorial they're having for the people that died during that incident with Invincible and Omni-Man. While Rudy is back in his lab making a belt-looking device that would help Monster Girl with her powers. The belt allows her to change from her monster form back to her human form without having the side effects of getting younger after each transformation. And at the same time, Ray goes to talk with Rex and is telling him that she wants to quit being a hero and live a normal life. No more getting beat to a pulp and having to pay those crazy hospital bills and having to fight bad guys while dealing with PTSD. Now, they can live a normal life and drink orange juice by the sunset. But anyways, we see Mark at the memorial and Powerplex came flying down immediately. Move, lady. I know you guys see the names on these stones. Alongside Jessica and Gretchen Duval, there were 2,341 victims that day. This one man in the crowd had to stop running. Hold up, 2,341? Damn, bro. Eve decides to go deal with Powerplex, flying in, sending him into a stone, and he came back to launch her into the atmosphere. Debbie had to tell Mark to chill, she ain't that trash, have some faith, as she managed to box him in for a bit before he breaks out and pushes back. And the millisecond she was able to hold him back and restrain him, the Guardians wanted to show up. They not slick. This fraud standing there in the middle like, no need to fear, the Immortal is here. Nigga, shut your bitch ass up. But Mark goes to secretly meet up with Donald, who gives him all the information on Scott, aka Powerplex, telling Mark that Scott has been planning this for months. So Mark is telling Donald that he would like to meet with Scott as soon as possible. So Donald is like, damn, how do I tell you this, littlest of bros? But he escaped not too long ago. But don't worry, we will have him. Yep, got it. Yeah, you gon' hate me. But Scott is out there wilding as we speak. He's live streaming himself, showing that he's kidnapped a woman and a child. But it was all part of the plan. It's not always what it seems. It was a sneaky tactic. He's using his own wife and kid to only pretend like they're being kidnapped. And when he heard Invincible fly down behind him, he hit that, oh yeah, it's time. But Invincible started talking about how he knows Jessica is Scott's sister and Gretchen is his niece. But all them nice words don't mean none. And he blasted Invincible with some electricity, causing him to drop down on all fours, looking up in disbelief. Ain't no way he really just put me on my knees. At one point, Powerplex even flew up, sent him into rubble, and this man came running out the smoke, getting haunted by a shadowy figure. I would have been pissing my pants. But Invincible started pointing at his family, explaining to Scott that he's putting these innocent people in danger. When he goes to save the family, this man Powerplex is playing some elite defense. You would have thought he was in an ISO with Kyrie Irving. Invincible looked at the family, then looked back at Powerplex and hit him with a spin kick. Get out my way, Blondie. But when he goes to help her, she spits on him. Oh nah. Oh nah. But if I were to. But if I were to. But if I were to. Powerplex drags him and tosses him to the ground, grabbing his head, sending a whole bunch of volts of electricity onto Invincible. But when he finally lets go, he turns his head to see the corpses of his wife and child. He let the desire for revenge go too far, and now he's even blaming their deaths on Invincible. Niggas be blaming anyone, bro. Invincible had to power through the attack and grab his wrist and help Scott calm down. So now Scott is locked up for the rest of his life, eating mashed potatoes and peas. Straight bullshit. And to end it all off, this show us the person that has been spying on Mark this whole time. It was Angstrom, who has recruited a legion of Invincibles. He decided to team up with a bunch of evil versions of Invincible to fight the one good version of Invincible, that massive skull, and he ain't think this through. This nigga's a dumbass. Also, don't forget to subscribe.